Hello and welcome to a coffee and a chat with Stage Masters. I'm joined today by the director of the Offies, Denholm Spurr.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
How are you feeling about Monday's ceremony? It's just around the corner now.
It is. So many mixed emotions, to be honest. It's such a milestone to get to this point. I've been involved in the Offies for about 14 years on and off. Stepping into this role has felt like it's almost like the universe has been telling me to do this for a long time. But at the same time, I feel like I know nothing. And so trying to kind of do all these things, I think I've thought for years that would be amazing if the Office did, but then not really knowing how it's all going to come together. That is a mixture of emotions. I feel terrified and excited in equal measure.
Because this is your first time obviously doing the ceremony yourself. So what's it been like to kind of step into those shoes and kind of look at the previous ones and go like, right, what can I do to put my stamp on this?
I think greater appreciation for my predecessors. I always greatly admired Jeffrey and Sophie for doing it. Sophie especially because she founded the entire thing. And I always just thought, oh yeah, I can do that, it's easy. And I have kind of been a producer on the ceremonies in the years past, but it's a whole different kettle of fish when the buck stops with you. That's been a challenge, but also a great opportunity. And I really wanted to elevate the ceremony. And I'm really excited about the real steps forward we're making that. One, in terms of the venue, Central Hall, Westminster is twice as big as any venue.
It's going to look stunning as well.
It's going to be stunning. Yeah. It's an amazing venue.
Really great venue.
In there, it's just gorgeous. It's a really showcase, performance-led ceremony for the first time. I think in the past, Jeffrey was fantastic at inclusion, and I greatly respect the way that he managed to do that. But I think eventually it ended up getting a bit bloated. 60 categories was just an insane number to try and have at the last ceremony. And so the new system that we've introduced, which is really streamlining, if I can say that word correctly, the awards into these 8 areas of exceptional contribution. Not only does that allow us to be much more responsive to how the evolving nature of Off West End in terms of the awards, but also the ceremony allows us to be much more streamlined there. And gives us more time to kind of like to make it about the awards and congratulating them, but also a showcase where we've got performances from the sector and presenters, and it's all a much more entertainment-focused event, which hopefully will elevate the sector as well.
I think it's really important that with things like the Olivier Awards or any of the Central West End Awards, because it's way more limited with the amount of shows that are nominated and all that kind of stuff, it's way more kind of specific. But with the Offies, it's like you could do as many as you wanted. So having 60 categories, like there are so many things to recognise.
Absolutely.
But having it way more specific, like you said, is going to make the ceremony feel more like the Olivier's in terms of like a proper ceremony that people would have seen in the past compared to a bigger one.
That is the objective, really, is that, it's to bring it in line with the awards circuit. Yes. I think that the Offies, and some of this is kind of what's so wonderful about the Offies, is the Offies has lived outside of mainstream award circuit. It's been the alternative one that's in the background, but it also hasn't necessarily represented that work as well as it could do.
Yeah.
It might be happening in an Off West End venue like the Woolwich Works last year, but the way in which it's presented was a little bit corporate, I think. And I think that if we're going to be representing the kind of weird and wonderful work that happens Off West End, then we need to be like putting our money where our mouth is almost on it and presenting that work in the same way as that work exists. Yeah. And so we've tried to do that with this ceremony.
With making it a bit of a bigger ceremony, like you're saying, and with these performances, what can people expect from this year's award ceremony? What performances are there? Any teasers of stuff that people can expect from Monday night's show?
I mean, I'm so delighted to have Davina De Campo as our host. Davina and I actually go way back. We worked in a bar together way before she was a big shot as she is now. So having her, it feels delightful actually to have her as the host of my first one. Something very kind of warm about that experience. But also she's just an amazing entertainer. So
very funny.
So funny. She should have won. She's. I'm really looking forward to her performances and her presentation of the hosting the entire thing. Having Mischief there for our 15th, I think, is a real coup. Yeah. Because Mischief, they're one of the success stories. It's our 15th anniversary this year, and in 15 years. Off West End as a sector has transformed. Before the Offies and Off West End as an organisation existed, Off West End as a term didn't really even exist. Yeah. Off Broadway has been defined and recognised for decades, but Off West End was kind of like a hodgepodge of different venues. Some were called fringe, some were called even amateur in some cases, and it was very difficult to find the diamonds in the rough. And Off West End has kind of stepped into filling that role and enabling platforming of these amazing works. And across that 15-year period of the awards, at least, we've seen huge successes. And Mischief, The Play That Goes Wrong is one of those amazing successes that has started in the Old Red Lion, and now has TV shows and several different productions made by the same production company. They're one of the big powerhouses of the West End now. But Fleabag is another example. Baby Reindeer, another example. Operation Mincemeat, Six. The list now goes on. Yeah. And Off West End has been there on that journey. So having them there is really amazing.
Yeah, and obviously they've got 3 shows this year now in the West End.
Yeah.
So to have them that are kind of leading the force a little bit this year,
yes,
to promote you guys as well is just such great collaboration, and it'll be great to see them there as well.
And I think that they are doing something that I think is very, very key, actually. And Francesca Moody actually mentioned this the other day about the Edinburgh Fringe, in that it's important that the ecology loop is completed, is that the grassroots of London and the UK of theatre is amazing. It's one of the best grassroots theatre scenes that exists in the world. Definitely one of the biggest. And that work is ensuring that the commercial sector is sustained. It's keeping it alive, it's keeping it new, it's keeping it fresh. But it's a real risk now is that work is being priced out, especially people from low-income backgrounds not having any possibility to make that work, because you'd be lucky if you break even as a producer these days. So Francesca Moody spoke about the Fringe, but I also think that Mischief are doing an amazing thing by funding things like the Offies as sponsors, because it is kind of feeding back. It's kind of allowing the commercial sector to go, okay, and obviously Mischief came from the grassroots, so they care about it. But I think both other commercial producers who have had that journey and those who haven't can join them and go, okay, we need to keep this alive. How do we invest in our grassroots more to ensure that it's sustained for the next 15 years?
Best of luck with Monday Ceremony. I'm sure it's going to be a storm. And yeah, I can't wait to see how it goes down and how the future of the Offies keeps up with you as you at the helm.
Well, you can catch it on the Theatre Channel. It's live stream for the first time. So be there.
Yeah, be there, watch it, and stay tuned for more news from the Offies. Cool. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks,